The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the book of Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
At that time, Jesus came to Jericho and intended to pass through the town. Now, a man named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector and also a wealthy man, was seeking to see who Jesus was. But he could not see him because of the crowd, for he was short in stature. So he ran and climbed a sycamore tree in order to see Jesus, who was about to pass that way. When he reached the place, Jesus looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, come down quickly, for today I must stay in your house." And he came down quickly and received him with joy. When they all saw this, they began to grumble, saying, "He has gone to stay at the house of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Behold, half of my possessions, Lord, I shall give to the poor. And if I have extorted anything from anyone, I shall repay 4 times over." And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a descendant of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save what was lost." The good news of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
For most of the crowd, there are many sides. The better part, the bad part, or it could be a wrong side. Zacchaeus found himself in harsh parts of the crowd, being in the back. Probably because of the lack of stature, but greatly because of the crowd. Too many things get on the way to view Jesus. Or probably because of what's holding on him. We know his rich, and also the guilt of what he has with him. In my personal experience of crowd, that was very young age of 10 or 12 probably, after a big storm, our homes were washed away, all the food's gone, barely know you can find it or buy food. You would only hear word from your neighbors or friends that there will be a distribution of food in that corner or in that center, and all you have to do is, best you could do, is go to that news, wherever you heard it, whether it's true or false, whatever it is, you just have to follow whatever will survive you. And that feeling of crowd, for me, was very realistic, because it's a crowd of survival. The food is on the other side, and I'm on the other side. I'm very young, very small. A lot of people bigger than me, stronger than me. I couldn't help it. The sense of helplessness came to me in that crowd. But for most of us nowadays, we get a lot of crowd in our life. Things get on our way to see Jesus. Maybe because of our sinfulness or guilt or whatever it is that opposes us. But here, seeing how Zacchaeus responds to the calling of God, he was able to overcome his stature, overcome the crowd. Or more strongly, he was able to climb the tree to get a better view. And what is this all about is not just seeing Jesus, but seeking Jesus. The more we seek is the desire as much as God is desiring to see us. In the seeking, he was able to overcome the stature, overcome the crowd. In our ways, God is calling us too. We could come probably overcome the crowd by being ahead of that. Or probably we can over the view. But the call is there. We can respond to God as much we seek ourselves. And to tell you, it's good view up there. But it's better to be in the front of the crowd.
Unrelief. Main theme, central point, key idea. What did you hear in Ray's preaching?
Seeking God.
Seeking God, okay.
Overcoming the crowds in our life.
Okay, Jesus. All right, overcoming the crowds in our lives to seek Jesus.
Overcoming whatever it is we need to overcome to get closer to Jesus.
Okay, all right.
What's in the way of my seeing Jesus?
All right. What's in the way of my seeing Jesus? Okay. Good. Most loving thing you experience. Right.
That's what I thought was most loving, to make me look at the things in my life that are keeping me from seeking God or seeing God.
All right.
The obstacles in my life that are sort of in the way.
Okay.
Being a flood victim.
Being a flood victim. Okay. All right.
He drew me my full attention for the whole time.
All right.
I didn't lose him at all. And it makes me to seek Jesus more actively. That was very loving.
Okay. What images worked? Themes. What was working for you?
Storm. After the storm, the crowd was a powerless child trying to get to the front, to get food, to get nourished.
Okay.
Powerful.
Can you all tell me Ray's intro to this homily? It's a fascinating thing for us to hopefully begin to look at. As preachers, we think we've got all these wonderful little things that start us off, but our homilies are not actually beginning until the image takes over. I will walk away from this homily with a little boy that can't get food because of all the big crowd around him. That moves me into the Zacchaeus story, as opposed to your first couple of sentences, because I'll never remember those, because it doesn't grab me, and it's just not going to be a part of me as a human being. But I will never forget thinking of little Ray running around trying to get food after a big storm. Does that make sense? There's it's a visual thing. And that moves us more into Zacchaeus than your first couple of sentences. Think of that when you're preparing homilies. It's happened so many times on things we've heard today. Okay? What might not have worked for you? Or what did not work? Instead of might not work, did not work. Okay?
Well, the opening image in Zacchaeus, because we didn't remember it, so that didn't work.
Okay.
We didn't have that.
All right. All right, then I'll give you a couple. Nobody else will give you a couple. I'm going to give you. No, don't forget the proper book usage. It's always a gospel. It's not a book of. We're reading from the Holy Gospel according to me. Okay. It sounds simple or it sounds silly, but it's very important. The people are so used to a specific formula. When it doesn't happen, they all, we get lost already. So make sure you do that. And at the end, Gospel of the Lord. Okay? One thing that I would love to have had in your homily would have been something specific that the people of God in your parish keeps them, or might keep them, from seeing Christ. A lot of times it was very generic. But what's going on in the lives of your parishioners that might stop them from seeing God? In other words, it's not their physical size, but it's the money we have, or it's the fear of a nuclear war, or it's an election coming up and whatever. There's things that stop us from seeing Jesus that are more concrete for the people in our pews. This was nicely generic. But they also want to know, how does this connect to my life? here and now. So I would have liked to have had something in there, okay? So it's almost like if you went from your story to the Zacchaeus story to the things that stop us from getting our nourishment, and boom, how do we end it from there? So it's boom, it really flows in that regard. All right, did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay?